100 people show up 3 and 4 times a week. We hugged together, we cried together, we laughed together. We had community church services together. Every church in town was leveled to the ground. We did our sustainable master plan under this tent. We did our long-term recovery plan. It was, as Tim says, it was about community getting together. And it was more than the planning process, it was our healing process. We would see people that we hadn't seen for 3 or 4 days because everybody in town was displaced. And this was the opportunity to get back together, just like you're getting together over the next couple days. People you haven't seen for a while, rekindle those relationships. Those are very important in life. We can talk about a lot of things. Let me get to that. I hate to skip too far ahead. I get this and I look at your faces and I think, well, I'd better tell them that, not what I want to tell them. But under this big tent was the driving force. Today in your meetings, as you're going around, you're each going to have your own little tent. Your opportunity to have those relationships, to be open, honest, and have good dialogue. In this tent, we had placards or easels with flip charts around. Hospital here, school, downtown, different entities, how we wanted the plan to look like. And we had city planners from all over the United States that volunteered their time, would draw renderings of what they thought the design and the land use would be. And on a chair beside these easels was a pad of sticky notes. You know, not all of us, including me, are real comfortable voicing my opinion, and other people want to voice their opinion all the time. And you have to watch those that want to voice their opinion or concerns all the time don't dominate the conversation. So by taking that sticky note, you could allow people anonymity to stick on the plan and say, I like this part of it. I don't like that part of it. Have you thought about this? And we've even had some that says that's a stupid plan. It's okay. It's okay that they say that. Because if you don't get the input of everybody in the organization and the community, you have just robbed yourself of some great information. Even the one that's the pain in the rear that gripes about everything, there's some nugget there you better listen to. Listen, 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 because you can put those all together. In the tent meeting also, was about a process. And most people don't want to be part of the process. They just want to be part of the outcome. You know, when things go great or when they don't go great, they'll tell you what the outcome should have been, but they didn't want to be involved in the process. But it's a process that you go through that'll tell you who is worthy of the outcome. You have to be informed, involved, and engaged in all that process. You have to involve all the stakeholders in the organization. Every stakeholder that's out there. If you don't, in your business, in the corporate structure, and the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, where's the trust? You have to develop that trust with your clients, with your community, with your business, and agree to disagree on some things. It's not my way or the highway. You're seeing that at the national level when we talk politics right now, even at our state level. We've lost that ability. No, we haven't lost it. It's still there, has always been, to sit down and have an honest, open dialogue, a conversation of ideas and values. But the one thing that is clear to me on all this, you got to know who you are. What's your character? Before we could start a rebuilding process of deciding what the issues were, we had to decide who we were. What's our values? Not what FEMA says out of DC what our values are, not what some consultant out of Kansas City thinks our values. Who are we? And when you understand that culture of character, of values, of morals, and the community buys into it, then you have strong buy-in, and leadership is very easy then. Because you're not trying to push something on people that they don't want pushed to. So identify all those things. And the community involvement is so important. You have to find a way to reason together. Not my way or the highway. You have to reason together on issues. Each one of us are tremendously blessed with talents. And each one of our talent is needed at a specific time in history. Yours is right now. You're game changers. But each one of you have a different talent. How do we take all that talent and work together and not focus on what your suboptimal talent is, which society would want to tell you what you're doing wrong, not how we can work together. Those are the things that were very important to us. We also had to identify what do we want our community to look like 50 to 100 years from now. How sustainable do we want to be? And sustainability, I'll get into that in a little bit, because that to me is a term that we'll address. What do we want to leave for future generations? The Iroquois Nation, the great Iroquois Nation, one of their basic laws says in every deliberation, we must consider the impact on the seventh generation. Seventh generations ahead. If we don't do that, not only in our business, not only in our personal lives, and corporately as a community, if we're just in it for now, all of our grandkids and great-grandkids are going to look back at us and say, geez, what a bunch of idiots back at the beginning of the 21st century. So just think about those things. I just want to challenge us all to kind of look at some things that are important not only to community but also to our basic lives, because our lives determine what our businesses are. Don't let the realities cloud your vision of a bright tomorrow. By gosh, when you're knee-deep in rubble or maybe this deep in rubble, it's easy to do crisis management. But do you have visionary management? Rhetorical question. Do you have visionary management? Or are you looking ahead? Celebrate every success you can. When you identify what you can change in the short term, part of that is celebrate what's going good. Every grand opening we had, every ribbon cutting, everything. The school, our superintendent turned the kids out to come down for ribbon cuttings of buildings because it's their community. They'll be able to tell their grandkids, I was there when we had the ribbon cutting and grand opening of that building. That's how you make community. You involve everyone in that process. So sustainability for me is simply the ability to endure. How do we continue in existence? As businesses, as humans, as families, that's what sustainability is. Now, we first started the talk early on. The talk was we're going to go green. My gosh, I'm a Western Kansas farm boy, and green in the 60s was powder blue bell-bottom pants, a white belt buckle, tie-dyed shirt, hair down to here, possibly on mind-altering chemicals. And I said, oh, that stuff doesn't fly. And how we had to market that was because of the misconception of what green is and what sustainability is has been tied to political football for so long. My pioneering ancestors on the plains of western Kansas were the original green people. They lived within the means they had available, with the resources they had available, and after my mom and dad passed away and we cleaned out the old shed at the farm, I realized he was the original recycler. never threw away a thing, and used what they had. Our pioneering ancestors, the first thing they did when they got there, they drilled a well, a water well, life-sustaining water for them and their livestock that they used the wind with a windmill to pump. And then they built a cooling house. The geothermal water at 56 degrees cooled their milk and their eggs during the day. Then they pumped that up in the tower that they built in solar. Sun heated that, so they took a hot shower at night. Think about what we're trying to do today. That same thing. We're trying to use the wind, we're trying to use geothermal, and we're using solar. Same concepts. These concepts are not new. We just have the great technology today to take better advantage than they did. We talk about all the wind farms in our area. My grandfather had a 32-volt wind charger system with batteries before REA came through. Not new concepts. It's just the technologies now of advanced batteries, of advanced generation, of advanced transmission. So let's not get into the thought process we're going to invent a brand new wheel on everything. Let's make the wheel roll better than it did in the past. So sustainability to me is simply this. We have to have a vibrant business economy. We have to have commerce in this country. But we need to be environmental stewards. We're called to be good resources of what we've been blessed with. And if we don't have any of those, we don't have to worry about us. But we have to worry about us because we need goals, and we need a future for future generations on the environment. It's like a three-legged stool. Too many times we focus on one or two of those and the stool falls over, and that's what's happening right now in the United States and around the world is we're not focusing on the three-legged stool to hold things up to make them work. So how do we provide that for a community, a better place to live and work? You bring all three of those together, and that's what sustainability is. That's what makes your business thrive. That's what makes your community thrive. We had to decide early on, did we want to just be a surviving community or did we want to be a thriving community? Do you want to own your community or do you want to rent your community? And I don't mean your house. If you own your community, you're the one that buys the Girl Scout cookies, you're the one that reaches down and picks up the trash and not wait for someone else to do it. You're the one that belongs to nonprofits in the community and you volunteer. That's owning your community. If you're renting it, it's just somebody else, a government will take care of it. And part of the problem in this country, and you have to guard against in business, in personal life, is the entitlement thinking that somebody else will take care of it. We were very blessed to have money come in from the outside. Very, very blessed. And we thank everyone for that. But we didn't expect the government to come and make us whole. That's not their job. FEMA, all those agencies, it wasn't to come and make us whole. You have to make yourself whole. You can't depend on somebody else to take care of you. And so the only thing that I think we're entitled to in this country is the opportunity to achieve. Not the opportunity to be successful, that's up to each one of you, but the opportunity to achieve. And we need to make sure we're cultivating that not only in our community to encourage businesses to be there, but within your business and your personal life, raising children, make sure everyone in the organization has that opportunity to achieve, because then you're headed down the same highway. And nobody feels like, in my career, I'd hire, I don't know how many people I've hired, and I'm retired now, but I'd always tell them, we're not hiring you to provide you a job. We're hiring you because we need the job done. And sometimes we got to delineate between the two to make sure people are on the same page. So where are we at today? Well, the best thing you can do is get on an airplane, fly to Wichita, and drive out and see everything. But I'll give you a little glimpse before you get there. Water tower, I was talking about life-sustaining water. But here's the other thing that was so important in this project. It was one of the first things up. It was a beacon of hope rising above the rubble that says, yes, that community's coming back. And I talked to communities all over the United States post-disaster, and I said, whatever you do as government, as a municipality, get something going right now. If you need a new fire station, get it up. If it's a water tower, whatever it is, commit to the community that you're going to make it happen and that the municipality is committed to rebuild. If people don't see that commitment from the city council, things will be lost. So as management, people you're working with need to see your commitment. And then it makes leadership and management a whole lot easier. Public-private partnerships, there was 10 different entities into this project, from USDA rural development to cities money, our insurance, some of our insurance money, also organizations like Rotary International. So always look at the opportunities that are out there to work not just with private entities, but public entities that you can pull together and make things happen. City Council voted in December of 2008 that any city municipal building over 4,000 square foot would be at the LEED Platinum level. An ambitious goal. I'm not pushing necessarily LEED, but we needed a scorecard of some kind, and that's what was chosen. First LEED Platinum in Kansas was a private nonprofit, our local arts center. And people just went ballistic. Some people did. What do we need that for? Yada, yada, yada. You look at great dynasties throughout history and the emphasis they put on art and beauty. Focus on the beauty in your life, the beauty of your organization, what you can be thankful for. Those are the things that are important in life. I just showed you an architectural design with the Art Center, different than we normally see, but we had a traditional, we needed housing. And through some HUD and, well anyway, I won't go into a lot of detail on that, but we're able to get these. LEED Platinum, highly energy efficient. Waiting list now for people to get in. Senior citizens that move to be closer to their families and grandkids, this is their community and they want to come back. And there's a waiting list on that now because they realize that the utilities are reasonable, they're brand new, the lawn's taken care of by lawn service, everything's, you know, they don't have to do anything. Whereas if they would have been, if I'd have been 75, I don't know that I would have rebuilt a home. Do I have the time or the energy? And that's what some of them decided. Traditional construction can be energy efficient, can maintain property values, and in Kansas, our city government is one of the big funders is property valuation, property taxes. So part of being green, sustainable, and building for the future also maintains your property valuation, and you have to look at the long-term maintenance of everything. So we in Greensburg are kind of a living laboratory of a plethora of new technologies, which are old now because it's been 9 years. So in 9 years, the technology has changed so much. No businesses on Main Street left, no buildings. So we, Sun Chips, public-private corporation, partnership with them, they put $1 million into this facility. 10 spots, 5 retail and 5 office spaces that allowed businesses to come in, and we're currently no vacancies in this building. And we continue to have businesses start and then hatch out in their own businesses. Just one other thing, I'd get to where nothing's new. The roof line up here facing the south, when I first saw that design of the natural light coming in, I thought, geez, that looked like Grandpa's chicken house. Because he knew that the more light he got in the winter, the hens laid more eggs. And old milk barns look that way. And architects will say, oh, these are new designs, you know, it's the latest thing out. Well, folks, it ain't. Know where you're at. This goes back to our character and our values. Know your microclimate. What'll work in St. Louis won't work in arid western Kansas. What did your ancestors do? How did they make it work? What's your roots? What's your heritage? What's your values? That's what the future will be built on. I had grapevines. Just a few in the yard, make a little homemade wine just for strictly medicinal and sacramental purposes. Okay, just, you know. 2 weeks after the tornadoes, I'm cleaning all the debris off. I said, Ann, that's my wife, I said, come here. Look at this. From the roots, new shoots of those grapevines were coming back. What that tells us, and I'm going to tie this up in just a little bit, but what that'll tell you is if you got good, run deep. It matters not what happens up here. You'll come back. And always remember it's new growth when you understand grapevines and how they grow and why you have to prune them back. It's that new growth each spring that bears fruit. It's not the old dead wood. In your businesses, in your community, in your corporate life, where's the new growth? What's going to bear fruit? Do you have the good roots buried down to where it's going to feed that new growth and that fruit? And those are important things that I think are very important that you have to look at. All LED, don't advocate every community to go out and say, I'm going to put in LED street lights because Bob said it's a great idea because they save 30% on maintenance and 40% on electricity, so we got to do it. No. But have a plan that when you are replacing the old sodium vapor, maybe go to this. But you got to make a business plan for it. It has to work for you. I don't advocate anyone copying what we did. What I advocate is, do you have a process of developing what works for you? 75,000 bricks on the new City Hall reclaimed from the rubble. Media Center, Kiowa County Commons. We're blessed to have one of my great community members in Grant Newhold with Kiowa County Media Center that's here this next several days working with Tim on some issues of videography and helping out. So another consolidation, 4 entities under one roof instead of having that. It's that thought process, thinking through. How can we be that good stewards of our resources? How do we get the best bang for the buck? Brand new school, put everything K through 12, had that opportunity to put it all together in one building. We're wind powered, as school superintendent says down at the school. Every dollar I don't have to pay the city for electricity, I can put into education of students. They collect rainwater in cisterns and gray water and all that. Every dollar I don't have to pay the city for water, I can put into education. Business cases, simple business cases. Same way with the hospital, putting all the health care on one campus. This is where you own your community. This building complex, business complex, is across the street from the business incubator. A nonprofit was formed, Kiowa County United, that we just all donated money to, raised over $2 million, and built a building with no expectation of any return on investment. And businesses are hatching out of the incubator, moving across the street to this. So yes, we're very blessed to have government assistance, and thank you for paying your taxes, but you have to own it yourself and put something in it, and we did. John Deere dealership says we're committed. The Estes family says we're committed. We're going to look at building our facility LEED Platinum John Deere dealership. And they had the support of John Deere Corporate, and they did it because it made a business case for them, that the more energy efficient they could be, they don't have to dispose of fluids, of oil, of all that. They save it, they burn it in the winter for radiant heat in floor. There isn't a liquid that leaves the facility. And when we talk about LEED, this is the one thing in our living laboratory we've learned with architects, with builders, and contractors, and with U.S. Green Building Council on the certification process. The John Deere dealership got a point for having a bicycle rack. Now, think that through. Farmer 15 miles from town breaks a hydraulic hose, slips it under his arm, and pedals 15 miles to town. And this is where U.S. Green Building Council learned that they can't apply what works in urban areas to rural areas. What a waste of resources to have a stainless steel bike rack at a John Deere dealership just to get a point. So we have learned, they have learned, we've all learned. Share what, I know there's proprietary information out there you don't want to share with competition. I appreciate that, because this is a capitalist society and that's how we operate in business. But that doesn't mean we can't share some other things and encouragement, because usually what's good for one business is good for another. You like to be around people that are successful. We also have a wind farm that generates 100% of the electricity for the city of Greensburg. Without going into a lot of detail, we are our own utility in the city, so it makes it easy for us to have our own net metering ordinances, our own setback ordinances that we're able to deal with. We don't have to deal with a major utility. So we have a power purchase agreement that dumps it on the grid, and then we get it back, so we don't have to worry about equalization of load, but we have the renewable energy credits to say that it all came from the wind farm. County courthouse was not destroyed. The greenest building in the world and the most sustainable one's the one that's already built. There were some people that were advocates of tearing this thing down. We can just put up a metal building and the register of deeds and the county clerk, and they could be in there. No, this is our heritage. This is your history. Community went together, and we also had a nonprofit. We had a little movie theater that was open on like Friday and Saturday nights. But the big vision was, and with the school too, the school does not have an auditorium in it. We have a full stage. It's the biggest screen between Wichita and Denver. 400-seat auditorium, full stage, full lighting, full sound. The school is able to use it for their programs. That's that vision that the community had to make us a place that people want to come, a destination place, a reason to be there, and a reason to stay there. We're known as the home of the world's largest hand-dug well. There was 109 foot deep, 32 across. It was built for the railroads to get water out of years ago, but it's a museum now that tells the story, the history, what happened, and where we're at, future and sustainability. I'm going to tie this up because I want to make sure we don't get y'all behind on your scheduling. Under the big tent, we came up with what's important to us. What's that character? Well, we felt that we were blessed with a tremendous opportunity in the midst of losing everything. Because it mattered not our social economic status that night, we were all homeless. The thing we had that is the only true sustainable thing in life is each other. So we knew we were blessed with a tremendous opportunity, a unique opportunity to create that strong community that's devoted to family. But we also wanted to make sure we had the fostering a business climate for future generations. It's just not about us. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll just leave you with this. You know, we're just called to be humble servants with a vision and a commitment for a brighter tomorrow. Because there is a brighter tomorrow. And you're part of it. So the question when we talk sustainability and we talk, quote, green and business and everything, I just leave you with the one question that's the most important thing to me. What are we going to leave for them? Because quite frankly, that's what it's about. That's sustainability right there. God bless you all. Thanks.
Greensburg is 90 miles from my home. If anyone, any of you, anytime, want to visit Greensburg, mayor and the superintendent of schools and the lady that runs the medical center, he does as best a job as anyone could up here. But literally to walk Main Street of where the most powerful tornado ever recorded in the history of the United States literally went through the eye and see what they've done since then. It's pretty remarkable. Anyone, it's 90 miles actually west of Wichita, Kansas. Anyone want to go there? Anyone want to bring their teams there? We're putting together a leadership experience for 2 days that will actually have a lot of metaphor for what people are doing in their organizations and their teams. Please just give me a call. We can set it up, it's customized. And they have a really nice Best Western too. I don't know if you put that there. Okay. Thank you, Mayor Bob. Again, round of applause. Learning from last year from the elevator fiasco, I'm going to ask only the solution providers if you could go down to your rooms and get into your rooms and get ready for your 8:30 sharp. And then remember, that knock will come at 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, and then get the heck out to your next meeting because you have 5 minutes. Actually, we'll talk about the contracts later about the transition time. So solution provider, get down there, get ready for your first meeting. And I will tell you for some of the other people, there are stairs this way, going down 3 flights, not too bad.